You know, this is a movie with a really important message. Don't mess with the sanctity of trivia night. Hey everybody, welcome to Mainly Movies. As part of my coverage of TIFF50, the 2025 Toronto International Film Festival, today I'm going to be talking about the 2025 supernatural horror film Obsession, which will be released in theaters on May 15th. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content, like reviews, rank lists, and recommendations. All my reviews include a breakdown of the pros and cons, my rating, and even some tailored film recommendations. So be sure to watch through to the end of this video for all of that extra content. Obsession stars Michael Johnston, Inde Navarrette, and Cooper Tomlinson, and was directed by Curry Barker. It tells the story of a 20-something-year-old who wishes upon a supernatural toy for his crush to reciprocate his feelings, only to find that his wish has been granted with a side of darkly unintended consequences. Every genre has its fan base, but I think horror arguably has the most passionate fans. Other genres might have more vocal fans, who often come out of the woodwork to rabidly praise or condemn new entries in a beloved franchise, but horror fans are often more quietly loyal, willing to gobble up most anything, whether that's more of the same or something experimental and new. Perhaps more so than any other, horror is a genre that's built upon and driven by tropes, and rather than rejecting these elements, fans flock to their familiar comfort. Horror is also a viscerally affecting genre, one in which you experience and feel as much as you observe and think. There's no doubt that discussion of modern horror tends to trend towards hyperbole, with much made about any given film being the scariest of the year, decade, what have you. A quality that's obviously inherently very subjective. You should always take claims like that with a grain of salt, but there are still some movies that can offer the complete horror package. Not just some story gimmick or a hard-to-live-up-to promise of scares, but rather a collection of elements that make it not only a worthwhile watch, but also one that'll be enjoyable for the majority of genre fans. We only get a handful of horror movies like this each year, and Obsession is one of them. Simplicity is often the key to success with horror, at least when it comes to the plot. It's easy to hook an audience with a simple, straightforward premise, and once they're hooked, you can then build upon that premise with additional layers of story, characters, or themes. If the initial premise is simple enough, the subtext will shine through, and audience members will be able to apply their own personal interpretations as well. Obsession understands this, boasting a simple enough premise with a relatable modern spin on the classic monkey's paw story. In familiar horror movie fashion, it's a cautionary tale, urging its characters, and the audience alike, to be careful what they wish for, and to think of the consequences of their actions, especially the unintended ones. Applying that monkey's paw wish fulfillment gone wrong idea to something as ubiquitous as a crush and subsequent relationship offers up something that's scarily relatable, making it all the more effective as a horror premise. Obsession features its share of very unexpected moments, but it also skillfully uses established horror tropes to increase anticipation and tension during certain scenes, somehow delivering exactly what you expect in a way that still feels exciting and fun. Speaking of which, this film features pitch-perfect tonal balance that somehow naturally enhances whatever the audience wants or expects to get out of the movie. It's gruesome, it's funny, it's tense, bordering on genuinely scary at times. It's a very satisfying blend that comes through not only in the story, but also the performances, especially Inde Navarrette's, whose wild emotional shifts and commitment to such a taxing role are particularly impressive. There's some very unsettling tension that pervades this film, building anticipation throughout despite the story's many unexpected turns. There's also some brutal scenes with gory violence that'll leave most people squirming in their seat. There's actually one scene in particular that was significantly cut down so the film could avoid being slapped with an NC-17 rating. But trust me, even with the cuts, you'll still know it when you see it. Obsession's gruesome and very dark, but still remains quite humorous through all of the darkness, steeped in irony, situational humor, and very entertaining reactions. Not everybody will be as amused by this film as I was, but with the right dark sense of humor, it's hard to ignore how fun this movie is, especially with a crowd. This premiered as part of TIFF's Midnight Madness program, but I saw it during the festival's press and industry screening. P&I screenings are usually very low-key, because everybody's there to do a job, but this was one of the best P&I screenings I've been to in a long time. It was completely packed, and people were having a blast, interacting with the movie and contributing to entertaining collective exclamations. This may be a horror film with scares, gore, and a darkly humorous tone, but it's also a movie with strong themes, and like so many other horror greats, something to say about the state of society. There are a number of thematic layers here, but most specifically hone in on romantic relationships, especially emotionally lopsided ones. Obsession takes something as sweet and innocent as a crush on a childhood friend and manages to twist it into something progressively more sinister by exploring themes of consent, codependency, and emotional manipulation through a supernatural horror lens. Much like the story, the themes here may initially seem very straightforward and simple, but this is a film that offers more than meets the eye, leaving you mulling over who the villain of the story really is. You'll certainly have initial gut reactions to the actions of certain characters, but then you'll likely have different secondary and tertiary reactions as you realize and remember the true nature of what's really happening. Thematically speaking, Obsession is a movie that'll likely leave you feeling disgusted and uncomfortable, and there's a good chance the story and gruesome visuals will have a similar effect on you. But you'll probably also find yourself thoroughly entertained and might just leave the theater with your newest horror movie obsession. Alright, let's talk about the pros and cons. Pro number 1 is the premise. It may be a simple concept, but man is it an effective one for a horror movie. Taking the classic monkey's paw tale and adapting its be careful what you wish for cautionary message into a decidedly un-rom-com story, this has got an instantly straightforward hook. A relatable crush and an innocuous-seeming supernatural gag gift toy quickly lead to a horrific and darkly escalating scenario. Simplicity may sometimes sound like a bad thing, but it very much works in this movie's favor, providing audiences with something familiar enough to be horror comfort, but also something unexpected enough to still be tense and exciting. And with its well-balanced tone, this movie also manages to be exceptionally fun. The second pro has gotta be the themes. Many of the best horror movies have something to say about the world or society, and Obsession is no different in that regard. It uses supernatural horror to explore relationship themes, and the uncertainty associated with trying to figure out how somebody else feels. By focusing on a crush and the innocent enough intentions of the almost sweet bear, this movie unsettles the audience by revealing the dark ickiness just below the initial empathetic sweetness. Themes of codependency, consent, and emotional manipulation rear up in dark ways. It's scary and sometimes entertainingly cringy on its face, but becomes even more twisted when the true nature of the whole situation sinks in. Pro number 3 is Inde Navarrette. The performances of both leads here are strong, and they've got good, fittingly awkward chemistry to play off each other, but it's Navarrete who's particularly noteworthy here. She delivers a physically and emotionally demanding performance. The huge, wild emotional swings of her character take a lot out of the audience just watching the movie, so I can only imagine how taxing the performance was for her. She's able to deliver not only on the big, exaggerated outward craziness of the character, but also on the simmering, haunting pain that's always bubbling just below the surface. It's an undeniably impressive performance, and one that'll certainly stick with you. On the con side, my only issues are just very minor nitpicks. There's nothing really wrong with this movie, but the supporting characters feel a bit inconsequential, and unfortunately pull focus from the central story at times. I also wish this movie gave us a bit more from Nikki as a character. Inde Navarrette's performance is one of the film's highlights, but I do think the story would have been a bit better had she been solidly established as her own character at the start of the film. And it may have been beyond the scope of this movie, but I would have liked to have seen more insight into, shall we say, her true experience throughout this movie. The brief glimpses we got were certainly unsettling, but a little more would have provided a bit more thematic oomph to everything. Before I give you my rating and recommendations, I want to remind you that if you're interested in buying Obsession or any of the other films I mentioned today, I do have affiliate links for all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy using one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you use them if you're in the market for any of these movies or anything else. I'm gonna give Obsession 4 out of 5 paws. This is one that genre fans are fittingly gonna be obsessed with. An extremely dark horror comedy, this film takes the classic monkey's paw storyline and uses it to explore consent, codependency, and emotional manipulation, all while delivering unsettling tension and some gnarly gore. I would recommend Obsession to just about any horror fan. This is one of those movies that morphs to fit whatever you're looking for in a film. You want an unsettlingly relatable cautionary tale? Then that's what you'll see here. Want a fun and very dark horror comedy to enjoy with a crowd? Well, you'll probably find yourself laughing along with people in the theater. Interested in a brutally gory horror film? You'll want to take a shower to get the blood spatter off after this one. Regardless of what you hope to get out of this one, as a horror fan, you'll probably find that your wish will come true. Hopefully without unintended consequences. If you liked Obsession, I would recommend Together. Starring Dave Franco and Alison Brie, this body horror follows a drifting couple who move to the country and find themselves drawn to each other in unexpected ways. Entertaining and funny, despite the chills and gnarly body horror, this is another thematically thought-provoking movie about a codependent relationship. If you'd like another supernatural horror movie about unintended consequences, you should watch Talk to Me. This Australian horror focuses on a group of teens who play a possession party game with an embalmed hand, but take things too far. Gory, bloody, and very dark, this is an intense cautionary tale about responsibility and consequences. And if you want another thematically strong horror movie, you might want to check out Get Out. Jordan Peele's directorial debut, this features similarly trapped characters and follows a man meeting his girlfriend's family for the first time, only to discover a disturbing secret. Alright, a couple questions for you guys. Number 1, have you seen Obsession? If so, what'd you think of it? And number 2, what's your favorite movie about unintended consequences? Be sure to leave your answers in the comments below so we can get a discussion going. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information on this review, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe while you're at it to see more videos like this. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies, the way life should be.